Hare Krishna. Before we start, we'll chant the Jai Radha Madhava prayers. So please repeat after me. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Krishna Balaram Jayo Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jayo Krishna Balaram Jayo Gauranitai Jayo Gauranitai Gauranitai Jayo Gauranitai Jayo Srinivas Govinda, Jayo Srinivas Govinda, Jayo Srinivas Govinda, Jayo Srinivas Govinda. Jayo Prahlad Narsimha, Jayo Prahlad Narsimha, Jayo Prahlad Narsimha, Jayo Prahlad Narsimha. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki, Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki, Shri Srinivas Govinda ki, Shri Prahlad Narsimha Dev ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So today we'll be discussing from 7th chapter, text 4. So before we start, please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the text is displayed on the screen. So please repeat after me. Bhumirapo analo vayuhu. Bhumirapo analo vayuhu. Kammano buddhirevacha. Kammano buddhirevacha. Ahankara itiyam me. Ahankara itiyam me. Bhinna prakritirastadha. Bhinna prakritirastadha. Bhumirapo analo vayuhu. Kammano buddhirevacha. Ahankara itiyam me. Bhinna prakritirastadha. So we'll read the word to word meaning. So please repeat after me. Bhumihi, earth. Apaha, water. Analaha, fire. Vayuhu, air. Kam, ether. Manaha, mind. Buddhihi, intelligence. Eva, certainly. Cha, and. Ahankaraha, false ego. Iti, thus. Iyam, all these. Me, my. Bhinna, separated. Prakritihi, energies. Astadha, total 8. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 comprise my separated material energies. So please repeat the translation. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 comprise my separated material energies. Purport. The science of God analyzes the constitutional position of God and His diverse energies. Material nature is called Prakriti, or the energy of the Lord in His different Purusha incarnations, expansions, as described in the Satvata Tantra. Vishnostu Trini Rupani Purusakhyani Ato Viduhu Ekantu Mahataha Shastra Dvitiyam Tva Anda Samstatam Tritiyam Sarvabhutastam Tani Gnatva Vimuchyate. Quote, for material creation, Lord Krishna's plenary expansion assumes three Vishnus. The first one, Mahavishnu, creates the total material energy known as Mahat Tattva. The second, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, enters into all the universes to create diversities in each of them. The third, Kshirodakshai Vishnu, is diffused as the all pervading super soul in all the universes and is known as Paramatma, who is present even within the atoms. Anyone who knows these three Vishnus can be liberated from material entanglement. Unquote. This material world is a temporary manifestation of one of the energies of the Lord. All the activities of the material world are directed by these three Vishnu expansions of Lord Krishna. These Purushas are called incarnations. Generally, one who does not know the signs of God, Krishna, assumes that this material world is for the enjoyment of the living entities, and that the living entities are the causes, Purushas, controllers, and enjoyers of the material energy. According to Bhagavad Gita, this atheistic conclusion is false. In the verse under discussion, it is stated that Krishna is the original cause of the material manifestation. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms this. The ingredients of the material manifestation are separated energies of the Lord. Even the Brahma Jyoti, which is the ultimate goal of the impersonalists, is a spiritual energy manifested in the spiritual sky. There are no spiritual diversities in Brahma Jyoti as there are in the Vaikuntha Lokas, and the impersonalist accepts this Brahma Jyoti as the ultimate and eternal goal. The Paramatma manifestation is also a temporary, all-pervasive aspect of the Kshirodakshai Vishnu. The Paramatma manifestation is not eternal in the spiritual world. Therefore, the factual absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. He is the complete energetic person, and he possesses different separated and internal energies. In the material energy, the principal manifestations are 8, as above mentioned. Out of these, the first 5 manifestations, namely earth, water, fire, air, and sky, are called the 5 gigantic creations or the gross creations, within which the 5 sense objects are included. They are the manifestations of physical sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Material science comprises these 10 items and nothing more. But the other 3 items, namely mind, intelligence, and false ego, are neglected by the materialists. Philosophers who deal with mental activities are also not perfect in knowledge because they do not know the ultimate source, Krishna. The false ego, I am and it is mine, which constitute the basic principle of material existence, includes 10 sense organs for material activities. Intelligence refers to the total material creation called the Mahat Tattva. Therefore, from the 8 separated energies of the Lord are manifest the 24 elements of the material world, which are the subject matter of Sankhya atheistic philosophy. They are originally offshoots from Krishna's energies and are separated from him. But atheistic Sankhya philosophers with a poor fund of knowledge do not know Krishna as the cause of all causes. The subject matter for discussion in the Sankhya philosophy is only the manifestation of the external energy of Krishna as it is described in the Bhagavad Gita. Thus ends the purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitanyena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today we'll be discussing from the 7th chapter. So far we had covered until the end of the 6th chapter in the past few weeks. So today what we'll be doing is we'll be reading from the 7th chapter, and here we'll be discussing the 4th verse. And as we can see here, Krishna is talking about this 7th chapter is known as the knowledge of the absolute. And if you just quickly look at the earlier 3 verses, what is Krishna trying to say? So Krishna is trying to say here, in this first verse, Krishna is saying to Arjuna, he says, now hear, O son of Partha, Arjuna, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So Krishna is saying now, you can actually completely know about me in full by being fully conscious of me, by knowing about me, right? And what is the best way to know about Krishna? Is to hear from him. So Krishna is saying that I am going to reveal everything about me, finer detailed knowledge. That's why the chapter is knowledge of the absolute. And then Krishna is saying, what is he going to talk about in this chapter? He says, I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and nominal, by knowing which there shall remain nothing further to be known. So Krishna is saying, I will give you all knowledge by which there will be nothing further to be known. And then he says this knowledge, is actually very rare. It's one of the famous verses actually in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says here, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye. He says, Manushyanam sahasreshu, Manushya, this human being, are sahasreshu, hundreds, thousands are there. But kaschit yatati siddhaye, but out of them, very rarely some people work towards attaining perfection. Right? And then yatatham api siddhanam, even out of those, right? Out of hundreds, thousands, very few people are working towards attaining perfection. And out of those who have attained perfection, yatatham api siddhanam, what is Krishna saying? Kaschit mam vetti tattvataha. He says, only very few people know me tattvataha, in actuality. So here Krishna is saying, out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So this is the rare, situation. So we can see in Bay Area there are hundreds and thousands of people. And how many people are showing interest in understanding Bhagavad Gita? Very few. And out of them, how many are very sincerely and seriously practicing and working towards perfection of life? Are also even few. And we are all fortunate we are here, we are among those few. So we just need to put little extra effort, and then Krishna is saying, we can be one of those perfect beings who can understand him completely. So this seems like a very great thing. Oh, how do we understand Krishna and God? It's such a great science. Actually, the matter becomes very easy when Krishna himself explains about himself. Right? So that is the flaw in the modern civilization and the beauty in the Vedic civilization. The modern civilization, the flaw is that they're trying to research and investigate and figure out everything. And unfortunately, it is not really possible. Right? It is just incomprehensible by us. We are limited beings. This world, this creation, everything happened even before we came into existence. Can we go back in time and see? No. So what is the option the modern philosophers, scientists have? They're theorizing. They're coming up with so many theories. Everything is a theory. How did this whole world come into existence? It's a Big Bang theory. And how all these various species are existing? It's an evolution theory. So you go on like this. Many of these are theories. Theories means it's a theory. It is not a fact. It is not proven. Unless it is proven false or unless it is proven true, there is nothing concrete. Right? So this is the flaw of the modern education system. But the Vedic system is a descending knowledge. You have an authority and you have a authorized knowledge and you accept it. Prabhupada gives a very simple example, like a child who was born and he doesn't know who his father is. Now, what is the modern scientific mechanical way of finding who my father is? Right? He will go and he will interview everyone, or he will try to find out in different ways, and still can the child find out who the father is? If he was not told who the father is, how can the child ever find out? Well, now we can say, oh, there is this DNA technology, we can do. But even then, what is the world population? 7 billion now, right? Is it even possible to get DNA of all the people and match the DNA? And what if that person has passed away? Can you get his DNA? Now, different ways, different bodies are treated. They're buried or cremated or everything. So you can see the flaw of, this process of, investigation and research will not actually, always lead us to success, especially to find out absolute truth. But a simple solution, if the child asks the mother, who is my father? Immediately, within a second, he will get the perfect source, the perfect knowledge. He doesn't have to spend millions of dollars to do research work and collect DNA samples and do, lab analysis, nothing, right? So that is the beauty of the Vedic knowledge. These Vedas are like the mother. and we are all, looking for knowledge, looking for real answers. What is the purpose of this existence? Why is this world created? Why am I even in this place? Why am I going through these circumstances? Why is somebody else going through different set of circumstances? What are these different species of life? What is this creation? What is this, Earth, the solar system, the different planets, and multiple stars and planetary systems? We are in a very big mystical arrangement, actually, if you analyze. But the modern world keeps us so busy in WhatsApp and TikTok and Facebook. We rarely look at the sky and ponder our existence, right? What is this? Where am I living? And how long am I going to be? And what happens, at the end of this life? Am I just a temporary being, just, coming into existence and go through some experiences, pleasures and pains, and then disappear all of a sudden? These are the questions, actually. That is why we are called human. The word human comes from this Manushya, the Sanskrit word, and man means the mind. Manushya means one who exercises the mind, one who thinks deeply. That's why the word Muni also comes from this man. What are the Munis are doing, sitting in Himalayas and all? They're deeply meditating on existence, meditating on the purpose of life. And this is what all of us are supposed to do. The animals cannot do. Animals don't have this advanced intellectual capabilities like we have. See the modern civilization, all these advanced technologies and inventions and everything. How are they possible? None of the animals invented anything. Only humans invented. Why? Because humans have this advanced capability of mind-body system. But it is not to be used just to create better arrangements for living, because ultimately we are going to die. The human intellectual has been given for us to solve this problem of Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi, birth, death, old age and disease. So this is what our human mind-body system is actually designed to acquire knowledge and to solve real problems of life. Like Prabhupada used to say, so much advancement has happened, but the 4 problems are still there. You might say, there was a primitive, human being hundreds, thousands of years ago. Now there is advanced human being. But Prabhupada used to say, but I see still the same 4 problems. Nobody has solved those. What are those 4? Birth, death, old age and disease. Right? We had so much advancement of technology. We are so advanced. But just few years ago, COVID has created a havoc in everyone's life. Hundreds, thousands of people died. All the technology and everything did not help anybody. So what does it mean? All this advancement of technology, we are just getting carried away. Like children, playing in a mela or in a fair. Oh, very exciting, colorful things, and they're just lost all day. Right? So we are like that. We are lost in this mela of this material world. And we are just, playing but not realizing what is the real purpose of life. Right? So, but the real purpose of life is to understand true knowledge, real knowledge that actually impacts our existence, that actually can create a real transformation in our lives. And that knowledge Krishna himself is giving. And from the basic inquisitiveness of what is this whole world, where did this come from, right? If you see, all of us have studied some Big Bang theory, there was a big explosion and all of this came into existence. Now, even at different levels, we can imagine, have anyone has experienced an explosion leading to a very systematic, controlled, managed environment? No, right? A city is functioning. Has it happened by an explosion? Or international spaceship is functioning. Has it happened by an explosion? Right? Then how can we think that, the arrangements of planets, stars, sun, moon, and all these biological systems and our own mind-body systems, it's so much science. How can, a very scientific, systematic, organized arrangement come into existence by an explosion? Right? Just by simple common sense, we can see that, an explosion doesn't lead to a very systematic, organized arrangement of things. But if we analyze ourselves, including our own human mind-body system, there are doctors, there are medicines or anything, where there's a very systematic arrangement of everything. And there is everything is governed by laws of different existence, laws of nature, laws of science, laws of gravity. So how can all this happen? Right? It can only happen when there is an intelligent creator behind the scenes. Right? We can go to, many of you might have noticed this sometimes in TVs, they show, or in YouTube, how is it made, right? Some manufacturing equipment. Now everything, all mechanized and machines and everything are there. It all looks like as if it's happening on its own, right? There are these assembly lines and assembly belts and various bins and conveyor belts, and everything seems to be just happening on its own. Now if somebody says, who built this factory, or how is everything working, and if someone says, there was an explosion few years ago and now there is this wonderful factory and all this equipment is coming, can anyone believe that? So in the same way, we see that there is no structured, organized, systematic, sequence of events happening by an explosion, right? There has to be an intelligent person. You go behind any manufacturing plant and any assembly plant, there will be some design engineers, there will be architects, there will be so many, civil engineers. They have worked together. A lot of brains have come together to make sure everything works, right? So in the same way, now if you analyze your own human body, it's a wonderful scientific machine, right? The eyes are like cameras, the mouth is like a speaker, the ears are like, the microphone, and the senses, and the skin is like a sensory organs. There's so many senses, and then there is, there is this neuron activity in the brain, and there is this electrical signals going on. What does it mean? People are working so hard to build this artificial intelligence systems and robots. How many great scientists are working together to make it happen? Now, how can we think that our own human body or any other small species, right? To invent a drone was a big thing, drone cameras and everything. But originally drone, there was a fly also, it's called drone. Right? Even a small mosquito, you see all aerodynamic engineering is built into it. It lands, it takes off, there's never a crash, and there is, it doesn't require air traffic controllers. All the birds are flying very nicely and landing nicely. Who has designed? There is a lot of aeronautical engineering that went behind it, isn't it? So this is what our human mind is supposed to be. And how am I speaking all this? By the mercy of our spiritual master. This is what the spiritual master and the Vedic knowledge tries to do, is to trigger that inquisitiveness in us to actually think about our existence, our purpose of life, and gather some knowledge and actually, make some progress. It's not a material evolution that is important. A spiritual evolution is important. Our consciousness has to evolve. Our consciousness, unfortunately, is very much in a animal consciousness. What is animal consciousness? It says, Ahara nidra bhayamaitunamcha samanyametat pashuhi naranam. These four things, Ahara nidra bhayamaitunamcha, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. These are common for humans and animals. But if the humans remain in these four businesses, then they are as good as animals. We have to evolve our consciousness beyond animal consciousness. Not just eating, sleeping, mating, defending, and satisfying my senses and mind, but actually exercising our intellect and understanding the higher purpose of our existence. Who is God? Who am I? Why did God create this? Right? So all this knowledge, how do we get? Very easy. Krishna himself has explained. And here we see what is Krishna saying. The first thing, the so much scientific theories and analysis and departments of universities, if they just accept this verse, the problem is one answer is given. What is it? Bhumi rapo analo vayu kam mano buddhi revacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakritir astada. So Krishna is saying earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and ego, all together these eight comprise my separated material energies. There you go. Here is the answer. So how did all this come into existence? Was there a big explosion? No, Krishna is saying they are my energies. Krishna is saying bhinna me prakritir astada. They are my separated material energies. And even in these energies, even the modern scientists, they could only, deal with only the first 5 elements, right? Earth, water, fire, ether, and air. But even the mind is subtle element. It is not, can anybody see the mind? No instrument can see the mind. But we all know there is mind. Mind is where the thinking is happening. Immediately if I say there is a green tree, you all are seeing a green tree. And then I say, oh, it's a fall season, all the leaves have fallen away. They're just their branches. Then you're all now seeing a tree without any leaves. Where are you seeing all this? This is the mind. Where is this screen? If I say a blue car, and say, sorry, it's actually a red car. Immediately you're seeing this blue car and red car. Where are you seeing? So this is the mind. Now even modern scientists don't know where this mind is. It is called a subtle material element. It is also material, but it is subtle. That means not grossly, capturable by any of the instruments. And then Krishna is saying subtle, even finer than mind is intelligence. We all know we have intelligence. Everyone has intelligence, different levels of intelligence. But can we see it? We can't even see that. But there is a finer than mind is the intelligence. And finer than the intelligence is the false ego. And Prabhupada then down in the purport, he said, people don't even talk, the modern material so-called scientists, they don't talk about these subtle elements because there is no way. They have left it to the philosophers. The philosophers are, speculating what the mind is, and they're coming up with different kind of philosophies. So the intelligence and ego, what is this ego? Ego is I am this, I am so and so. This whole understanding of what I am is the ego. Now that is even finer thing, right? So we have to come to a true ego. So and then our Vedic scriptures are not just, at a very high level. oh, God created. Yes, but Vedas gives very finer detail. And here Prabhupada is giving, we can really, we can take advantage of understanding the finer detail of this creation. So we are saying this five, all these elements Krishna has created. Now Bhagavad Gita is the essence, is a summary of all the Vedic knowledge. It's a high level information provided, with which one can actually make, they can attain the ultimate success of life. What is the ultimate success of life? To attain mukti, self-realization, liberation. One can attain liberation. Right? We talked about these four problems. Liberation from what? Liberation from this birth, death, old age and disease. There is a separate world. There is another world, spiritual world, Vaikuntha. Vigataha kunta iti Vaikuntha, where there is no anxiety. What is the anxiety? No anxiety of these four things. No anxiety of birth, death, old age and disease. And going to Vaikuntha is liberation. That can be attained by Bhagavad Gita. But the inquisitive soul, we are all very inquisitive, isn't it? We go into a deep research study and we want to find even more finer details, how God created. So even the finer details are provided in the Vedic knowledge. And here Prabhupada is mentioning that how God created all these five elements, how did they come into existence? How we say God has created, Krishna is saying these are my energies, but actually there is a detailed explanation. So Prabhupada is saying that this material energy in the beginning part of the purport, he is mentioning about the three Purusha incarnations. And the three Purusha incarnations are the Karanodakshaya Vishnu, there is the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. There are three names, three Vishnus mentioned. And generally when we say incarnations, we only know about the 10 incarnations of, those are the 10 prominent incarnations. But actually the number of incarnations of God, they say as many waves are in an ocean, that many incarnations are there. So we actually can't count how many incarnations of God are there. And here a glimpse is given of some of the incarnations. Now, the Vedic scriptures very clearly say that Govinda Madipurusham, the original person is Govinda Krishna. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, Swabhagan Swayam Krishna. So there is a reason it is mentioned that Krishna is the original person. And then the first expansion of Krishna is Balarama. So that's why we have very wonderful deities here, Krishna Balarama. It is said Balarama was the first expansion of Krishna. Now, what is the difference? Both are very similar. There is no difference. Both are Vishnu Tattva. It's just an expansion, but just exhibiting little different features. And then from Balarama, it is said there are actually the quadruple expansions. There is the Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Anuruddha. Now, these are the finer details. Right? I'm just giving some additional details here. And then it is said the four quadruple expansions. There is another, four quadruple expansions. There is an expansion of Narayana, and from that Narayana it is said again Vasudeva, Shankarshana, Pradyumna and Anuruddha. And then from that Narayana there is an incarnation of Mahavishnu. So this is where these incarnations are taking care of this material creation. So this Mahavishnu, it is said, he lies on a causal ocean. So there is an ocean, there's a Karanodaka ocean. If you have seen some of the paintings, there's that painting in the gift shop. You can actually, later you can see, there is a picture of this Mahavishnu. He is lying down on this causal ocean. And when he lies down, he's a very gigantic, form of Lord Vishnu. Very huge. And how huge, you will just know when I mention what happens. In the Brahma Samhita, it is mentioned, Yasyaika nisvasita kalam atavalambya jivanti loma vilaja jagadanda nataha Vishnur mahasaheyasya kala vishesho Govinda Madipurusham tamaham bhajami. So about this Mahavishnu it is mentioned. What is this Karanodaka Vishnu, the first Vishnu that we are talking about? He said, Yasyaika nisvasita kalam atavalambya. It said, Yasyaika means from whom, nisvasita, the breathing, from his breathing, kalam atavalambya, in time it happens. This Mahavishnu is breathing, and what is happening? Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadanda Nataha. The different Brahmas. We all know there is Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara taking care of a universe like that, it is said. So this Brahma is actually, they're all living in these various universes. And in short, what it is saying is, this Mahavishnu is lying down in a causal ocean, a Karana ocean, very huge ocean, very huge, gigantic form of Mahavishnu. And what is he doing? He's breathing out universes. By his breathing, there are the small, bubbles are coming out, and from these bubbles, they're actually forming into a universe. So we are all in one universe. So this whole universe that we are seeing, there are this, scientists say there are these different galaxies and, stars and planets light years away and all that. Now these are all part of one universe. Now like this, hundreds, thousands of universes are being exhaled by this Mahavishnu. Now you can imagine how huge, how gigantic this Mahavishnu is. Now when this Mahavishnu is exhaling all these universes, what is happening? They're all floating. These universes, these balls that are coming out of Mahavishnu's breathing, they're floating in the Karana Jala ocean. So Prabhupada gives an example, like in a swimming pool, if you put so many balls, footballs, they're all floating, isn't it? So in the same way, when Mahavishnu is exhaling, these universes are coming into existence and they're floating in this Karana Jala, in the Karana ocean. And what is happening in every of this ocean, every of this universe that is floating in the ocean, within the universe, Krishna, Mahavishnu takes a second incarnation. It is called the Garbhodakshai Vishnu. So initially the universe is empty, right? There's just big shell, universe. So he enters, and then as a Garbhodakshai Vishnu, what he does, he lies down, he fills half the universe with water. That is called now the Garbhodaka ocean. Now there is originally Karana ocean, now inside the ball, inside the universe, there is the Garbhodaka ocean. In that ocean, Lord Vishnu has taken another expansion, and he lies down as Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And from his navel, Lord Brahma is born. There is a lotus flower that emanates, and Lord Brahma is born. And then Brahma is the first living being, the first created being. That's why his another name is Padmaja. He's born from a lotus flower. And now when this Brahma is born, actually, what happens is he meditates to understand what is this very day. Because it was all darkness. All of a sudden, he took birth, right? So he meditates, and then, Lord reveals in the heart that, this is the complete knowledge Lord reveals. And then he creates the creation, then Brahma does after he attains the knowledge from Krishna. And after the creation is created, Krishna takes a third incarnation, that is the Kshirodakshai Vishnu. That is the Paramatma that Prabhupada is mentioning. And he spreads into every atom, including all of us living beings. In all of us also, the Mahavishnu, the Vishnu's incarnation is there. That is Paramatma. That is Kshirodakshai Vishnu. Like the great devotees, when they're meditating, it is said, Dhyanavastita tatgatena manasa pashyanti yam yogina. So in the deep meditation, when they see the Vishnu form, that is nothing but the Paramatma. We all know the story of Dhruva Maharaj. He went to the forest and he meditated. So he meditated for 6 months, and then he started seeing the Supreme Soul, the Paramatma in the heart, the Vishnu. And he started seeing this feature of the Paramatma. He was wearing, Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. He was holding conch shell, disc, club, and sword. And then he was, dressed in yellow garments. He had wonderful Kaustubha jewel. He was actually seeing Paramatma. And suddenly, Paramatma disappeared. He didn't know what happened, and he opened his eyes and he saw the exact same Paramatma standing outside. Now the Lord was ready to talk to him and benedict him, like this. So this Paramatma is there in everyone's heart, and is also there in every atom. Now we all know the scientific table. There are 106 or 8 chemicals, all that. Every chemical has its own properties and everything. Where did all these properties come from? What is it that is making a particular element to work in a particular way? It is nothing but Krishna's energy. Everything is actually Krishna's energy. Right? So that is what Krishna is, it is said here. And we also know that everything is Krishna's energy. And Krishna actually says that Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matta Sarvam Pravartate. He says, I am pervaded everywhere, and everything is actually in me. Iti Matva Bhajante Mam Bhuda Bhava Samanvita. It's very incomprehensible, right? Krishna is spread everywhere, but all this everywhere, it is within Krishna himself. And Krishna, when he performed the, his Leela, when he appeared 5,000 years ago, we all know this Mother Yashoda. She sees the whole entire universal creation within his mouth. It's a very interesting incident, right? What happens once Krishna and his friends, they were all playing, and they complained to Mother Yashoda. Oh, Krishna has eaten dirt. Mother Yashoda becomes very upset, like anyone, right? Any mother, if they come to know the child is eating dirt, oh no. She says, why are you eating dirt? Please come here. Please don't eat. She says, no, they are all just, lying. They ganged up against me. We had a quarrel among us. So Krishna was just playing. He said, no, I didn't eat dirt. Then Mother Yashoda says, oh no, open your mouth. I want to see whether you really ate dirt or not. And here, this is from the Bhagavatam 10th canto. There is a description what Mother Yashoda saw when Krishna opened his mouth, right? So I'll read this. When Krishna opened his mouth wide by the order of Mother Yashoda, she saw within his mouth all moving and non-moving entities, outer space and all directions, along with mountains, islands, oceans, the surface of the earth, the blowing wind, fire, the moon and the stars. She saw the planetary systems, water, light, air, sky, and creation by transformation of Ahankara. She also saw the senses, the mind, the sense perception, the three qualities goodness, passion, and ignorance. She saw the time allotted for the living entities. She saw natural instinct and the reactions of karma. And she saw desires and different varieties of bodies, moving and non moving. Seeing all these aspects of cosmic manifestation along with herself and Vrindavan Dhama, she became doubtful and fearful of her son's nature. So Krishna actually showed also when he came this entire universal form. She saw everything, including herself, in the Vrindavan land. So she was completely puzzled. She didn't know what was happening, right? But then Krishna created the Yogamaya because he wanted to relish the paternal affection, the loving relationship of Mother Yashoda. She was one of the greatest devotee, and it is known as the Vatsalya Rasa, the loving relationship shown as a mother. So Krishna wanted to again show he would make her forget all that also. But it is a recorded incident. Krishna has shown that this entire universe is in him, and he is the source of everything. And another thing, while we are talking about this whole creation and different universes, another Leela of the Lord to remember is the Vamana Deva Avatara. We all know Vamana Deva. He goes to Bali Maharaj and he says, I want 3 steps of land. He asks for a boon because Bali Maharaj had conquered Indra and all the demigods, and he has taken over all the planets. And Indra's mother, the demigod's mother, Aditi, prays, and she requests Krishna to help the demigods, the devatas, get back their kingdom. So he says, I want 3 steps of land, and Bali Maharaj agrees. And when he starts taking his 3 steps, what happens is with the first step, he covers the entire all planetary systems. So he becomes a very huge, gigantic form. And for the second step, he covers the entire open space, in the space. And what happens when he raised his leg, this universal covering got punctured. We're talking about those balls floating in the swimming pool like that. That puncture happened, and the water from the Karana ocean came in. And that is this Ganges water. That is why Ganges is so purifying. That is why taking a dip once in Ganges is as good as getting rid of, one would actually get rid of all their sinful reactions. Why? Because that is the water personally touched by the feet of the Lord. Like when we do Abhisheka, we take Charnamrita and we sprinkle on our head, right? Why? Because the regular water, once it touched the deity and touched the feet of the Lord, we are getting the blessings of the Lord. The water is now spiritualized. So that's why Ganges is so auspicious, and people take so much effort to go and take a dip in Ganges. So that Vamana Deva, when he appeared, actually we can see this whole creation and the different leelas of the Lord. Everything connected, everything we can understand how everything is working together. So these are some small incidents from the Vedic scriptures and the literature, getting some deeper meaning, deeper understanding, and the glories of the Lord. And this will actually satisfy the real inquisitive mind, getting the real answers. Who is God? Prabhupada says everyone knows God is great, but the Vedic scriptures give a very detailed information of how great he is. Prabhupada says we can give God's name, address, father's name, mother's name, all details, which planet he lives, including coordinates. That is the beauty of the Vedic literature. And we are all supposed to use our inquisitiveness, our ability to inquire and gather knowledge and assimilate and understand, to spend all that energy in understanding the Vedic scriptures and understanding Krishna. And what happens when we understand Krishna? So we are doing all this. Okay, so I'm proposing, instead of spending so much time doing all other research, you study Vedas. Well, what will it happen if I either that study or this study? What is the difference? Well, the difference is, Krishna says in the 4th chapter itself, he says, Janma karma chame divyam. Janma karma chame divyam. My activities, my appearance, chame divyam, they are divine. They are divine activities. Anybody others, karma and birth, they are just based regular activities. But Janma karma chame divyam, evam yo vetti tatvataha, one who understands, my nature, my creation, my activities, my appearance. What happens? Janma karma chame divyam, evam yo vetti tatvataha, one who knows actually, factually, tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti, mameti. So this is what will happen. Tyaktva deham, this deham, tyaktva, right? When somebody dies, it is called dehant ho gaya, means deha has ended. But what happens after deha has ended? Tata dehantar prapti, in general another deha will be given. Another body means again birth, old age, disease, and all kinds of miseries. But Krishna is saying, tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti, mameti. You won't have a punarjanma, you won't have another material birth. You will come back to me, mameti. And that is nothing but liberation, that is nothing but mukti, that is going back to the Vaikuntha Loka. And being situated in a spiritual body, in a spiritual realm, with the supreme spiritual, supreme personality of Godhead, and engaging in different activities with the Supreme Lord without all these problems, right? So that is why we have to spend our time and energy to understand finer details of God and His creation and get closer to God, and ultimately, at the end of this life, go back to Godhead. Like Prabhupada says, this whole life is a preparation, and death is an examination. So at the time of death, whether we pass the exam or not, how will we know? If you're able to think of Krishna, we'll go back to Krishna. If you're not thinking of Krishna and you're thinking of, oh, I didn't become a millionaire, I only have 900,000 in my bank balance, then you'll be again born here. So we have to think about becoming Krishna, at the time of death, antakalecha mameva swaran muktva. One who thinks of me, he will come back to me. Right? So the idea of the whole human life is to prepare to be thinking of Krishna throughout the life and at the end of life and go back to Krishna. Otherwise, will we end up again punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Right? Again, it will repeat. So I'll stop here. I request the devotees to hand over the beats. So, as Prabhupada said, this process of Krishna consciousness is a two-way process. It is not an armchair philosophy. Right? Armchair philosophy, there is a nice, comfortable armchair. You just sit there, comfortably read some books and put it aside. No. It is not armchair philosophy. The purpose of knowledge is to practically apply the knowledge. So there is, the knowledge, and at the same time, there is a practical application also. So, and we acquire the knowledge, and we say, Krishna is saying, Man mana bhava mad bhakto, mad jaji mam namaskuru. One of the main instruction of Krishna is, he's telling all this. He says, always think of me, become my devotee, you pay obeisances to me. So some other places he says, Patram pushpam phalam tyoyam, yome bhaktya prayachiti. He says, offer some fruit, flower, water to me. Things like this. So there is a practical application of this Vedic knowledge also. And so now one of the things we'll do is we'll practically apply practically. Krishna says, Man mana bhava mad bhakto, think of me, chant my name. So we will do the chanting. And then Krishna says, become my devotee by paying obeisances to me. That is the purpose of this temple. Prabhupada says, anyone who comes, they will pay respects to the Lord. So we are following, that's a practical application. He says, eat my prasadam. Yagna sista asina santo muchante sarva kilbashai. Right? Why do we eat prasadam? Right? We have prasadam after the arati. Krishna says, one who eats prasadam, muchante sarva kilbashai. Yagna sista asina santo. Yagna sista means the prasadam offered in yagna, in sacrifice to Krishna. Yagna sista asina santo muchante sarva kilbishai. All the sinful reactions we will lose if we eat prasadam. So this theory is not just for reading theory. It is to actually apply practically and create, a positive, spiritual evolution, spiritual advancement in our life. Like these kind of things. We chant Hare Krishna, we come to the temple, we pay respects, we participate in the kirtans, we eat prasadam, and then we talk more about Krishna and all these things. So what happens slowly, our mind-body system, our consciousness is becoming transformed to a Krishna conscious lifestyle. And then guided by the principles and teachings of the Krishna and Bhagavad Gita and the spiritual master, we will actually be on our path back to Godhead, going back to the spiritual world. Right? So I'll stop here. So we can all chant one round Hare Krishna mantra. So before we start, this is as I said, we'll practically apply the teachings. We'll practically try to connect to Krishna. And while chanting, the important thing is to hear, because abhinnatvam nama namino, the name and the Lord is non-different. Just like Lord Krishna is non-different than the marble stone that we have. Somebody can say, oh, this is a marble stone. No, because the prana pratishtha has happened, it is non-different than Krishna himself. In the same way, the Lord actually incarnates in every sound vibration. So when we chant Hare Krishna mantra, we should know that we are actually getting in touch with the sound form of Krishna. So very respectfully, very prayerfully we should chant, and then we will be able to get connected to Krishna. Okay? So before we chant, we will chant the Guru Pranam mantra and the Panchatattva mantra. After that, we will all chant together. Right? So please repeat the Guru Pranam mantra and Panchatattva mantra. Yeah. Please repeat after me. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Itinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we'll all chant together now. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you all for participating in this Japa Yagna, and please continue. There is no need to wait for next Sunday. You can always chant 24 hours at your home every day, and please take advantage. And anybody coming for the first time, any newcomers, we have Leela Kamal Mataji standing there. So please go and collect your gift. We have a nice gift to give to all the newcomers. Anybody coming for the first time? Please raise your hand. So Hare Krishna, welcome. So please go and see Mataji, and she can also tell you about other activities, some volunteering opportunities and things like that.